Credit, Joseph Ferrara, Our Lady of Fatima in Archdiocese of Los Angeles, CC by Saw 2.0, via Flickr. 10 surprising and little-known facts on Fatima. We know most familiar facts about Fatima, but for the 100th anniversary, there are fascinating facts and details often overlooked or never realized. By the time the 100th anniversary of our Blessed Mother appearing to 3 shepherd children at Fatima in Portugal officially begins on May 13, many of us will know at least some of the basic facts. We should know that our Blessed Mother appeared there 6 times, once a month from May through October. We should know about the miracle of the sun during that October 13th apparition that was witnessed by at least 70,000 people. You should know that Mary identified herself as Our Lady of the Rosary and at each apparition told the children to pray the Rosary daily for peace, a message that was meant for every single person. But there is so much connected with the Fatima apparitions and story that is fascinating, often surprising, yet little known or forgotten. Like these facts. Fact: during Mary's second appearance on June 13, 1917, she gave one part of a directive to Lucia alone. I want you to come on the 13th of next month, to pray the Rosary every day, and to learn to read. Later, I will tell you what I want. The request was unusual since girls in her situation didn't learn to read. Why the directive to this 10-year-old? In his book Fatima for Today, Father Andrew Apostoli, host of EWTN's Sunday Night Prime, explains that it was Lucia's mission to spread this Fatima message to the whole world. It was most important, then, for Lucia to learn to read and write. In later years she even used the word processor. Among Sister Lucia's writings are the book's calls from the message of Fatima, Fatima in Lucia's own words Fatima in Lucia's own words too. It was not necessary for her cousins, 8-year-old Francisco Marto, and 7-year-old Jacinta Marto, to learn to read since during the second apparition on June 13, Lucia asked the Blessed Mother if she would take them to heaven. Yes, I shall take Jacinta and Francisco soon, but you will remain a little longer, since Jesus wishes you to make me known and loved on earth. Mary told 10-year-old Lucia. He wishes also for you to establish devotion in the world to my Immaculate Heart. Francisco died in 1919 at age 11 at home, peacefully despite suffering terribly from the influenza epidemic of 1918. His big wish of receiving Jesus in the Holy Eucharist was granted just before he died the following day. It was his first Holy Communion. Although he did receive from the chalice which the angel offered him in apparitions before Our Lady appeared. Fact. On the other hand, Lucia got special permission to receive her first Holy Communion at age 6, a year earlier than normal, since she knew her catechism and explained the mystery of the Eucharist so well. In her second memoir, she gives the details and explains that the day before, right after her first confession, kneeling in front of the statue of Our Lady of the Rosary in their church and asking Our Lady to keep her poor heart for God alone, Lucia said, "It seemed to me that she smiled and, with a loving look and kindly gesture, assured me that she would." Besides the smile, notice that the statue depicted Our Lady of the Rosary, as years later Mary would identify herself to the children during the last apparition. Why? Lucia recounts in her first memoir that as Jacinta was suffering, the Blessed Virgin appeared to her. Jacinta would explain that, she asked me if I still wanted to convert more sinners. I said I did. She told me I would be going to a hospital where I would suffer a great deal, and that I am to suffer for the conversion of sinners, in reparation for the sins committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and for the love of Jesus. Jacinta did, first in the hospital in Orem. Then the Blessed Mother visited her again to tell her of the sufferings awaiting her also in the hospital in Lisbon where she would soon go and there die. That did happen in all the details our Blessed Mother revealed to her. Jacinta received other visits from Our Lady who counseled her and showed her things to come. More on this another time. She died a few weeks short of her 10th birthday on Feb. 20, 1920. Fact. Her body had been sprinkled with quicklime because at the time the law stated that the body of anyone who died of the Spanish flu epidemic had to be treated that way. Yet when her tomb was opened on September 13, 1935, the people were astonished to see her features were incorrupt. Preserved this way, she was reburied next to her brother Francisco in the Fatima cemetery. The war is going to end, but if people do not cease offending God, a worse one will break out during the pontificate of Pius XI. We know the war going to end was World War I, which was raging for several years and ended on November 11, 1918. Looking back, we know the worse one, our Blessed Mother referred to conditionally, that, if depended upon the people's response to her request and instruction, would be World War II. But look again at what else she prophesied. She said it would begin when Pius XI was Pope. This was in 1917 when Benedict XV was the Holy Father. There was no Pius XI until 5 years later, Feb. 6, 1922. Pius XI was Pope until he died February 10, 1939. He fearlessly spoke out against fascism, the Nazi Reich and the encyclical Mit Brennendersorge with deep anxiety, seeing the horrendous threats of religious extermination and communism in the